Hi, I want to speak a little bit about ritual and ceremony today. I've been leading vision quests now for, well, this will actually be my 40th year. And the vision quest itself is a ritual. It's a ritual that's powerful, it's profound. But there are other rituals and ceremonies performed within a vision quest that can make up the core elements of the quest itself. And creating and participating in ritual acts aligned with your purpose and intention can bring a deeper engagement, more power, and more magic to the process. So I want to start by just saying a few words about how I see ritual and ceremony. People who study brain physiology have for a long time asserted that we have three distinct brain structures, each one wrapped around the one beneath. The oldest and deepest of these is called the reptile brain, and it's concerned with issues of safety and biological survival, and it sits right on top of the spinal column and controlling the instincts and our automatic and autonomous functions. Those things like temperature regulation, metabolism, breathing, and all of that stuff we rarely need to think about. So this is our instinctual survival brain. And then surrounding that, which is about the size of a walnut, is the limbic system or mammalian brain, and it's associated with deep primal emotions. As a child, it's activated when an infant looks into its mother's eyes, and at that point, significant neural development and patterning happens. That if that connection is lacking, our mammalian brain may never develop it. Our mammalian brain, because all mammals have it, it seeks connection or communion, and it responds to the presence or interruption of this necessary human element. And its activities are responsible for gut feelings, hunches, and all those ways of perceiving and knowing that are beyond or below our conscious awareness. And lastly, the neocortex or new brain is wrapped around that. And that is the thinking, calculating, planning, and speaking brain. The one that humans consider themselves to be so special to have. It's the brain you're mostly using right now as you listen to me speak. And because concepts and spoken language are the media of choice for this new and outer brain. Neocortex, neo means new. And this brain responds to our conscious conversations. So the words of daily life are totally adequate for this conscious brain, and we identify with it. But the words of daily life rarely penetrate and those deeper structures of our brain, the reptile brain and the mid or mammalian brain. But ritual and ceremony appear to be languages that the older brain structures understand. So as we do, we create acts. So in ritual, we may gather stones, cast circles, offer cornmeal, sing or speak to the various directions. And even though those make no rational sense, there's a part of ourselves that is much more ancient and primal. This a part that doesn't listen when we just talk, gets stimulated. It recognizes, reacts, and responds to those physical, emotional, and metaphysical alignments. And this is incredibly important. It's certainly very incredibly important in Vision Quest, but it's also very important in life. Because if you are wondering or curious where the power in your life lies, each our conscious brain, our neocortex, our language brain, can process about 40 bits of information a second. But during that same second, the midbrain or limbic system is processing 40 million bits of information. So our limbic system is 1,000,000 times more powerful than that languaged brain that we so commonly use and identify. And so the power of rational choice and will to make real changes has serious limits. And if change is really what we seek, and certainly people who come along in Vision Quest are seeking change, we need to use the language, ritual and ceremony that those depths below the surface understand. So what is it about changes? What is it? Is there a difference between ritual and ceremony? Those are two words. Yes, there is. Rituals are transformative. Rituals make a change happen. While ceremonies are confirmatory. They mark, celebrate, or ratify a change that has already happened. So probably the most commonly studied examples of this in anthropology are puberty rituals and ceremonies. So many cultures have puberty rituals for boys. And in those instances, it is the ritual itself. And that ritual could involve isolation, ordeals, tests, and teachings. But it is the ritual itself going through that makes them men. It transforms them. While another culture may have a puberty ceremony for the girls. This ceremony is important, and it could be long, arduous, and elaborate, full of dances, tests, and presentations. But it's a ceremony because the change itself from girl to woman has already happened. Nature and the Great Spirit have transformed the girl, and the ceremony announces, celebrates, and confirms it for everyone to see. These categories and definitions, whether they're transforming or confirming, making versus marking a change, are logical distinctions. They exist in the abstract and make sense in our minds, but in real life, many acts wander over the lines, and many acts have both ritual and ceremonial aspects. And certainly in a Vision Quest, that is often true. Now, I always give advice on Vision Quest on making good ritual because it's really important to find the forms of ritual that work for you. And I tell people all the time, right at the start when they come on a quest, that I say, this is your Vision Quest. And like your boots or your backpack, having a good fit is important. And I tell people to try to free themselves from any perceived notions about doing it right or any comparisons to others. So out in the daily world, there may be a right way and a wrong way to do a Catholic Mass. And there's a right way and a wrong way to lead a Lakota sweat lodge. But I say to people, this is your Vision Quest. You're the authority here. And your relationship to spirit, like your relationship with a partner, does not have to look just like everyone else's. I very often actually recite a poem. You do not have to be good. It's just, you do not have to be good. You don't have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let, your heart know its way. You only have to let the soft animal of your body know what it knows. So in the past, many people have gone before and found their unique way of doing vision quest, their unique way of doing ritual. Very famous Native American black elk, he discovered a whole visionary universe when he fell sick and he descended into a coma. Christ wandered 40 days in the desert and he battled temptations. Moses climbed to the top of Mount Sinai to speak with his God. Mohammed retired to a cave and had his great vision. And Buddha entered the forest to face and dissolve illusion under the Bodhi tree, the tree of awakening. A Plains Indian may still sit inside a small circle and not eat, drink, or leave for days, while an Aboriginal youth in Australia wanders on a walkout for months. All of those that I just mentioned previously were vision quests or rites of passage. Each took place within the context of a particular time, place, culture, and person. And when you consider all the many possibilities, it's absolutely appropriate to create the form of vision quest and the form of ritual that's right for you. Just like plants and animals adapt to different environments different environments in nature, all throughout history, the forms of religious and spiritual seeking have had to adapt to the landscape and soil in which they took root. When Buddhism, the path of Buddhism, left India and went to Tibet, there it met a very shamanic mountain people. And that meeting and mingling of those strands wove into the rich and colorful cloth and tapestry of Tibetan Buddhism. So, Buddhism met the culture and the landscape of Tibet and became very visionary, visual, and colorful. When Buddhism traveled east, it encountered the culture of Japan, and that mixing produced a very different result: the sparse simplicity of Zen. It was still Buddhism, but it was a Buddhism that fit the culture it landed in. And I like to say to all people, you have your own psychic soil, and the forms of ritual and practices that will grow there are for you to learn and decide. So, on a vision quest, I say this, but I say it to people in life. Your choices around rituals and ceremony involve not only what you decide to do, but how you decide to do it. Many ritual forms may be simple, while others are incredibly elaborate. But what's important is for you to bring your full being, your full attention and energy to the moment, for it to become an act of power. So for one person, keeping it simple is better. And all that those elaborations or trappings feel like distractions and tangents that subtract from the essential core act. So for one person, merely drawing a line in the sand and saying, when I step across, my vision quest begins, is the right act to do. But for another person, the reverse may be true. And that person may burn incense, collect stones to make a circle, speak to the mountains, call in the directions, and evoke the spirits of the ancestors. And doing all that builds energy and power. So the energy is building and building, and that person may move him or her from the ordinary to the extraordinary. So on a vision quest and in your life, to make good ritual and ceremony, you have to choose what works for you. And what works for you will be whatever form builds and brings your full attention and energy to the moment. And that, for this video, is the first thing I'd want to tell anyone who wants to learn about ritual and ceremony. You have to find the forms that fit your landscape, who you are, and what will bring your full power to the moment. Who you are is important to making ritual and ceremony that works. Aho.